It has been 36 years since the Blossom pilot first aired in the summer of 1990. The girl who played Blossom Russo is now 50 years old. Let that sink in. Today, let's step away from the noise of the modern world, honor the brilliant cast who shaped who we are, and see their beautiful journeys in 2026. Bringing absolute magic to our screens at number 1 is Mayim Bialik. She was just 15 years old when she first stepped onto that NBC set as the flower hat-wearing, diary-confiding, wonderfully awkward Blossom Russo. And in 2026, she stands at a magnificent 50 years old, every single one of those years worn with intellectual fire and quiet grace. Here is what Blossom gave us that we rarely talk about. She taught an entire generation of young girls that it was safe to be smart. In a television landscape full of giggly, boy-crazy teenagers, Blossom was the girl who had opinions, who asked hard questions, who wasn't afraid to say, "I don't know, but I want to find out." For millions of kids growing up in homes where they felt different, she was proof that different was extraordinary. And here is the trivia that still makes jaws drop. While filming Blossom, Mayim was simultaneously preparing for acceptance to UCLA, the University of California, Los Angeles. She earned a Bachelor of Science in Neuroscience, then a full PhD, a Doctor of Philosophy in Neuroscience, graduating in 2007. The girl who played a teenager on TV became, in real life, a neuroscientist. After Blossom, the world welcomed her back in a massive way. From 2010 to 2019, she played Dr. Amy Farrah Fowler on The Big Bang Theory, earning 4 Emmy nominations and 2 Critics' Choice Awards. Then, from 2021 to 2023, she hosted Jeopardy, a role that felt almost cosmically designed for the woman with a doctorate. Today, Mayim channels her passion into her podcast, Mayim Bialik's Breakdown, dedicated to destigmatizing mental health. She is a published author with books like Girling Up and Boying Up, guiding the next generation. She is a mother of 2 sons, and by every measure, she has lived the most beautifully full life imaginable. At number 2, the irreplaceable soul of the show, the man whose one-word catchphrase became the sound of a generation, Joey Lawrence. He was 15 years old when he first said, "Whoa," on national television. And in 2026, at 49 years old, turning 50 this April, he carries his years with a warmth and easy charm that time simply cannot touch. Joey Russo was the character every 90s girl had a poster of on her wall. Lovably unassuming, unexpectedly sweet, endlessly loyal. But what Joey gave us beneath the laughs was something deeper. He was the embodiment of unconditional love in an imperfect package. He reminded us that kindness matters more than cleverness, that you don't have to be the smartest person in the room to be the most important one in someone's life. Here is a behind-the-scenes detail worth knowing. According to several accounts from the era, some producers initially had reservations about casting Joey, fearing his earlier fame on Gimme a Break had faded. They nearly passed on him. And then his portrayal of Joey Russo turned him into one of the defining teen idols of the early 1990s. At the height of Blossom's fame, he released his debut self-titled album at just 16 years old. The single, "Nothin' My Love Can't Fix," reached number 19 on the Billboard Hot 100. Today, Joey is busy, creative, and joyfully connected to family. In 2023, he gleefully brought back his iconic "Whoa" in a viral campaign for VinFast, and millions of people felt 14 years old again, just for a moment. He co-hosts the Brotherly Love podcast with his brothers Matthew and Andrew, where the 3 reminisce, laugh, and dream out loud together. The brothers have also spoken warmly about ideas for new creative projects brewing between them. And in January 2023, Joey welcomes a beautiful daughter named Dylan, a new chapter full of hope and light. If you thought that transformation was surprising, wait until you see who is coming up next. The girl who talked faster than anyone on television, and whose real life turned out to be even more unexpected than her character. At number 3, the fast-talking, laugh-delivering, enormously warm Jenna Von Oy. Born on May 2, 1977, she was just 13 years old when she first rattled off lines at machine gun speed as Six LeMeure, Blossom's magnificent best friend. In 2026, Jenna is 48 years old, and she radiates a kind of hard-won, luminous peace that makes you think she's figured something out the rest of us are still searching for. Six LeMeure was the sidekick who was never really a sidekick. She was the friend who showed up, imperfect, funny, loyal to the bone, even when her own home was chaotic. For countless kids who felt invisible in their own families, Six was a mirror. You are worthy of a best friend. You deserve a Blossom. That is not a small thing to give a child. Here is a piece of television history many fans don't know. The role of Six almost went to a very different future star. Melissa Joan Hart, the actress who would later become famous as Sabrina the Teenage Witch, auditioned for the role of Six and came remarkably close to getting it. She ultimately chose to pursue the lead role on Clarissa Explains It All. Instead, the role of Six stayed with Jenna, and the rest is history. After Blossom, Jenna went on to The Parkers, voice work on Pepper Ann, and a heartwarming reunion with the Blossom family on Call Me Kat in 2022. She has since made her home in Nashville, Tennessee, where she pours herself into her truest love, music. She released her debut country album, Breathing Room, and has continued writing and recording. She is also the author of 2 beloved parenting books, Situation Momedy and its follow-up, which have connected her with a whole new generation of readers who know her not as Six, but as a voice of warmth, wit, and honest motherhood. Jenna Von Oy has chosen a life that is real, rooted, and extraordinarily beautiful. At number 4, the coolest TV dad of the 1990s, the man who made single fatherhood look both heroic and deeply human, Ted Wass. Born on October 27, 1952, Ted was around 38 years old when Blossom premiered, and in 2026, he is a distinguished 73. The years rest on him like a well-worn coat, comfortably, with dignity. Nick Russo was the father figure millions of us never had and desperately needed. Not a perfect father, a real one. He struggled financially, got it wrong sometimes, put his arms around his kids anyway. For children growing up in broken or chaotic households, Nick Russo was the quiet wish. If only my dad were like that. Ted Wass carried that role with such effortless warmth that the character felt less like acting and more like a documentary. Before Blossom, Ted Wass made his Broadway debut in 1976, playing Danny Zuko in Grease. He also brought the irreverent, lovable Danny Dallas to life on the groundbreaking ABC satirical sitcom Soap from 1977 to 1981, a role that first revealed his extraordinary gift for making deeply flawed characters somehow completely irresistible. Instead of chasing the spotlight after Blossom, Ted gracefully stepped away from acting to pursue his true calling as a television director, proving that real-life happiness is the ultimate success. He directed beloved shows including Spin City, 2.5 Men, Mom, and 2 Broke Girls. In 2022, he made a brief and deeply touching return to acting, reuniting with Mayim Bialik on Call Me Kat, playing her father one last beautiful time. Some reunions are worth waiting 27 years for. While some embrace the spotlight, our next star chose a path that had more in common with the writer's room than the camera lens, and the results were nothing short of remarkable. At number 5, the conflicted, tender, surprisingly funny eldest brother, Michael Stoyanov. Born December 14, 1966, Michael was about 24 years old when Blossom began filming. In 2026, he is 59, and still quietly remarkable. Tony Russo was a character who dared to go somewhere most 1990s sitcoms wouldn't touch: recovery. A young man rebuilding himself after years lost to addiction, learning how to be a brother, a son, a person worth knowing again. For anyone who has watched a family member fight that same battle, Tony Russo mattered. He was not a joke. He was a mirror and a hope. Here is a story about a man who knew exactly what he wanted, even when it cost him something. During Blossom's final season, Season 5, in 1995, Michael Stoyanov made the bold and deeply personal decision to leave the series and pursue his true passion as a comedy writer. He went on to write for Late Night with Conan O'Brien, then for the sketch comedy institution Mad TV, and The Dana Carvey Show. It is worth pausing on that. He walked away from a hit television show, from fame, from the camera, because the page called louder than the spotlight. That kind of self-knowledge is rare at any age. In the years since, Stoyanov has returned to acting with memorable supporting roles, including The Dark Knight, Kingdom, and Billions. He walks that line between writer and actor with ease and lives his life on his own terms. At number 6, the charismatic, effortlessly charming boyfriend every 90s girl quietly rooted for, David Lascher, who played the irresistible Vinnie Bonatardi. Born April 27, 1972, David was about 20 years old when Vinnie sauntered into Blossom in Season 3. As of March 2026, he is 53 years old, with a birthday just weeks away. Vinnie was the boyfriend who showed up not just for the good times, but during the complicated, messy, real ones. For young viewers quietly learning what a healthy relationship might look like, Vinnie was a gentle curriculum. This is what it means when someone actually sees you. Before Blossom, David was already beloved by an entire generation of kids as the mischievous Ted McGriff on Nickelodeon's Hey Dude. After Blossom, he went on to play the romantically charged Josh on Sabrina the Teenage Witch, cementing him as one of the defining heartthrobs of that entire television decade. And here is the wonderful part. David Lascher is very much still here and still celebrating the era that made him. He currently co-hosts the beloved nostalgia podcast, Hey Dude, the 90s Called. Alongside actress Christine Taylor, the two former Hey Dude co-stars reconnecting fans with the shows, the stories, and the pure joy of growing up in that decade. It is warm, funny, and deeply human, much like David himself has always been. Before we close this chapter, we must stop counting. We must be still. Because there is one member of the Blossom family who is no longer with us, and he deserves more than a number. He deserves a moment of pure reverence. Barnard Hughes. He joined Blossom in 1991, stepping into the role of Francis Buzz Richman, the grandfather, the jazz man, the man with the warm eyes and the wandering heart who moved into the Russo household and brought with him a lifetime of stories. Barnard Hughes was born on July 16, 1915. A man who had lived through 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and the entire birth of American television. He came to Blossom already carrying decades of theatrical glory. A Tony Award winner for Best Actor in the Broadway play Da in 1978, and an Emmy Award winner for his guest role on Lou Grant. He was, in the truest sense, a living legend who blessed our little sitcom with his enormous gift, appearing in 52 episodes over 4 seasons. He was in his mid-70s when he filmed Blossom, and he brought to Grandpa Buzz something no younger actor could have manufactured: the lived-in wisdom of a man who had actually loved, lost, laughed, and endured. When he sat across from the kids on that set, it wasn't performance. It was memory. It was truth. On July 11, 2006, just 5 days before his 91st birthday, Barnard Hughes left this world peacefully. He was 90 years old. He was survived by his beloved wife of 56 years, Helen Stenborg, his son, Tony Award-winning director Doug Hughes, and his daughter, Laura. They may have left this world, but every time we press play, they come back to life, wrapping us in the warmth of our childhood. And now, the most important question of all. Time for a confession. Which cast member from this legendary show was your absolute biggest childhood crush? Was it Joey's "Whoa," Vinnie's smile, Or maybe Six's infectious laugh? And did I leave out a character who deserved more love? Let me know in the comments. And one more thing before you go. If you could go back in time to the exact living room where you first watched Blossom, the carpet under your feet, the smell of the house, the glow from that old television set, who would be sitting next to you on the couch one more time? Honor your loved ones below and subscribe to keep our golden childhood memories alive.